Um, cool. Let's see. Yes, we're 2 seconds in. So we are live. We are live. It's gonna go ahead and hit all the platforms that I went ahead and distributed it to. Don't mind the number of eyeballs if you can see it. Can you see an eyeball and then a number next to it? Oh,
Nope.
okay. Only I can. Okay, that's good to know. As I say, don't mind that because it doesn't read right. However, what's up, everybody? This is Ruben Garcia. I am with Jen Henry, one of the best people you need in your life. I mean, for me, and how many times I've told her, about 100 times, is that she has been one of the best coaches and mentors that I've ever worked with. Her leadership is impeccable. So I know she's got some stuff for you guys here today, and that's why we brought her on. If you don't mind, Jen, tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz.
Well, my name's Jen Henry. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. One of my claims to fame is that I'm friends with Ruben.
Whatever.
And Ruben is up there in my favorites people list at the pretty far top. We don't see each other talk enough, but when we do, it's always like on point and
Yeah.
solid and inspiring. So thank you, Ruben, for always. Every time Ruben says, "Can you do this?" my answer is yes. I think this is the third year that I've
Yep.
jumped on here.
Yeah,
So
you're always willing to give value, so I appreciate that.
yeah, I love it. So a little bit about me is that I have been in real estate for 20 something years. My son on Monday will be turning 22. I was pregnant with him when I got my real estate license. So whenever he turns
Wow.
his birthday, it's my real estate birthday too. So on Monday, I will be celebrating 22 years in the real estate profession.
Wow.
And that has been in a variety of ways, a myriad of ins and outs of the business, but nonetheless, 22 years. And currently, I am the owner of Game Changer Realty here in Jacksonville, Florida. But my biggest passion, as Ruben already alluded to, is coaching, consulting, and mentoring professionals in the real estate industry. That's my
Yep.
deal.
Yep. What and now I'm just curious, what has in the last 22 years, what's probably the one thing that sticks out to you the most of what keeps this business moving forward or business people in real estate moving forward?
Well, I can speak from personal experience as a human being that the one thing that keeps this business moving forward is right between our ears, which is how we think and what we believe. I have come in and out of belief so many times. It's really disconcerting when you get out of belief because you're like clinging for like, where's that belief? But then the minute you have belief again, all your body and your faculties follow
Yeah.
if you do it right, you know? So I mindset is where I land with most of my clients. Until that's fixed, the actions won't matter. And so mindset is key in every single thing I've done. And the day that I realized this, which was about halfway through that 22-year period, probably 15 years ago, more like it, the day that I realized that my mindset could determine my success, everything changed for me. So
Yeah.
that's been it for me, Ruben. I'm sorry it's not more strategic or technical.
Well, I mean, I agree, right? There's a reason why they call it be, do, have, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So I just want one more, which is then what would you say the second thing is, right? Like we know it's mindset. I mean, oh my gosh, that's probably 99% of it. But what would you say is the second thing that you have learned 22 years in this game that keeps a business moving forward in the real estate game?
It's the thing that you do really well, Ruben, that I've always admired you for, which is consistency. And I don't mean consistency in all the big, sexy, shiny things. It's consistency in the mundane, in the boring,
Mm,
in the, that is just that consistency that just no one notices. I was thinking this morning when I was planning to be here that this is the third year I've done this. And I'm like, man, Ruben's been doing these Be More trainings. Is that what it's called? Be More, right?
yep.
For how long have you been doing them?
6 years, I think.
6 years. Like you don't stop, you don't falter, you don't fail. I'm sure there's peaks and valleys, but that consistency is something that is so hard for me and is probably the hardest thing most people have to do is just do the things every day, no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And some cynical way in me is like I love that most people don't stay consistent
Of
because
course you
that's where I
do.
start taking grounds, you know?
Of course you do.
Okay, cool. So you could dive into what you want to talk about today, if you'd
Okay.
like.
All right. Very good. And this is something that I hope will outlive me. What I talk about today is not about real estate. Is that okay, Ruben?
Yeah. And I may like shift the video so you're up front and then, okay.
You do you. I'm here to talk, and if something you need to interrupt me, you interrupt me, okay?
Cool.
Guys, what I'm delivering to you guys today is normally a 2-hour workshop. In fact, I'm getting ready to go to the Women's Council of Realtors in New Smyrna Beach to deliver this at the end of September or April as a 2-hour workshop. It comes with a workbook and everything. So if ever you can catch me teaching this somewhere on a stage, that's where it's going to be most effective and where you can actually apply it. Today, I'm simply going to share with you concepts that get your wheels turning. All right. I'm hoping that I can inspire you to step into some new levels of greatness. I hope that I can motivate you to be more yourself. And if nothing else, I can just shine a beautiful light on who you are as a human being, because I can't see you in your eyeballs right now. But if you're under the sound of my voice, whether it's live or recorded, I can assure you this applies to you. And this is fundamentally the one thing that I believe we lack in this business. So let me quit with all the, cryptic illusion here. And let me just talk about you. Let me just talk about unique value. And in the last year, with all the real estate changes we've heard a lot of people talking about articulate your value. Like, I'm kind of sick of even the word articulate, because I feel like I've said it so much. It's like beating a dead horse. Articulate your value, articulate your value. But I can honestly say that in no other time in history in our profession has it been important that we as professionals have the ability to articulate our value in a way that lands on the ears that need to hear it, because our profession is under attack. We are being attacked, and I'm not here to preach doom and gloom, but if you're watching the news or you're involved in any of the NAR or whatever state association you're involved in, or even at the local level, you know that so much is hammering our profession right now. We've got political divide that's hammering our profession. We've got fear mongering. We've got customers, buyers, and sellers who have absolutely no idea what they have asked for when it comes to some of the lawsuits and other things that have happened to us. There's a big ton of misinterpretation and misunderstanding that's happening in the real estate industry right now. And if you want to be a successful, high-producing, high-paid realtor in this year and beyond, you're going to have to learn how to embrace what I am going to inspire you with today. And today, like I said, is high level. It's up to you to take it to the next level and implement it into your life. And so let's just talk about unique value. Let's talk about the fact that you having a license is not special. I've been licensed for 22 years. That does not make me special. It really doesn't. I can't lead with that. I could go into a listing presentation or a buyer consultation with that, but honestly, buyers and sellers don't care. If you also look at what buyers and sellers are drawn to these days, it's social media, it's reels, it's influence, it's the shiny objects that they're tempted by, that lure them in to make a call or make a connection. And so many of us feel like, at least the clients that I work with and the people I talk to and myself, feel like sometimes maybe we're fighting an uphill battle, that, maybe getting to be seen or heard in this profession is getting more and more challenging. You're right, because the customer noise is getting louder. The demands of what customers want is getting louder, which means we have to counterbalance that with a louder message. And so I'm not going to give you the message today. I'm going to ask you to listen to my words, make some notes. I only have one little PowerPoint. I don't have a workbook or anything for you. I'm just asking you to listen and make some notes. And I'm asking you to let this sink in so that you can take it and apply it. And at the end of this, if you truly apply it the right way, you should walk away with a different perspective on who you uniquely are positioned inside of this profession. So before we jump into you as a realtor, I want to talk about just you as a human. You as a human are uniquely special in a million different ways. And I'm not your mama, and I'm not here to tell you how beautiful you are, all the ways that you are a unique kid. But I am also here to do that, because there is something really special about the fact that you're here right now with your heart beating, listening to my words right now. In fact, I'm going to ask Ruben, as soon as he's ready, to share a little graphic that we created. that I created for you that came from a ChatGPT search and a ton of research to put this together for you today. Let's just talk about you being alive as a human. So when you think about your parents, they had, let's say that they met 10,000 people in their lifetimes and dated a handful of those people. There's a 1 in 20,000 chance that they would meet and like each other enough to do the deed. Okay, well, we're gonna leave it there. So think about that, okay? You've got two people wandering the earth, decide to meet and decide to trust each other enough to conceive you. And again, despite your conception story, there was likely two people that did that conceived you, okay? And this is not a birds and the bees topic today, but it's where we start. It's where our story starts. The second thing we have to look at is that the odds of the egg and sperm making you is 1 in 400 freaking trillion for you to be here as you are with your exact DNA coding today. And this is just you being born, okay? Born. All right. Then the odds of you being born and making it through the process of being born and actually living through that is 1 in 2 million to this 2,685th power. Guys, the odds of you just being alive are so slim that you're a freaking walking miracle. Okay? And we take that for granted. I have had a couple brushes with death in some health issues that I've had in my life where I had to face the end. Thank goodness it was not. God has more plans for me. But if you haven't, you may be walking around with an arrogant assumption that you're just here because you're here. And that's just you're an entitled person. You're here to be here and that's the end of it. But walking in the fact that every day is a miracle, although it sounds cliche and you're like, I didn't sign up for this training to get preached at, but we have to start here. Your life is a miracle. The fact that you woke up this morning, pretty freaking awesome that your brain and your heart decided to keep working while you're sleeping and didn't decide to take a nap on you. The fact that you have the ability to cognitively do the things that you do every day and make it to however old you are, how many car crashes you've avoided, how many heart failures you've avoided, whatever you've avoided in your life to get to this magical point in your life is pretty awesome. And so the quote that I have here is, what a privilege it is to be here on this planet and contribute your unique donation to mankind. You're not here on accident. You're not here just to be a realtor and make money. You're here for a reason. And when you can connect, spiritually or not, your reason to your profession, you lead with a lot more purpose and passion. So if this is something you've disconnected from, again, high level talk here, just stop for a minute and think about this. Okay? Just think about your unique value isn't just because you have a certain education or you speak a second language. Your unique value isn't that you just have a real estate license. Your uniqueness is that you are here. You've defied the odds. It starts there. Okay? So I just wanted to go way back. And I wanted to get really clear that you're a walking miracle. So now that we've established that, Ruben, you can unshare that. Thank you so much. Now that we've established that, I want to bring us back to the present moment. If that is true, what I just said, if you're a walking, living, breathing miracle, and we all are, and every human you interact with is the walking, breathing miracle, then that's the first awareness we have. The second is, how do we walk that out as human beings inside of our lives and inside of our professions? So it is a known fact that purpose-driven people, mission-focused individuals, especially in sales, tend to have better sales. And even if they don't have better sales, they are more whole and they are more fulfilled within their roles and within their profession or within their chosen business. So purpose is really important. But how do you know about purpose until you understand really who you are and why you're here? And guys, I'm not God. I am not omniscient. I don't know your unique value. I do not know what your purpose on this earth here is. But if you're alive, you haven't fulfilled it. And you've been given this opportunity to be a real estate agent in a profession where the sky's the limit. Why not? So I believe that we as individuals have to understand what the uniqueness is that we bring to the industry. So I believe it comes in some different phases. There isn't one magic pill that says this is my unique value, but I think it's a combination of multitudes of things. And so we're going to talk about those things today. And I'd love for you to take some notes because this is the practical application now. Here, we're done with the frou-frou. I hope I got you to your core, and I hope that we can now talk about what sets you apart. Here in Jacksonville, Florida, we have 12,000 realtors in our association in the Northeast Florida area. Okay. The number is not going down, it's going up. I don't know how, but it is. You probably have a lot in your association as well. I know there's some associations that have hundreds, but there are some that have more than ours. And it's pretty amazing how many people have decided to get their real estate license, even despite this current market that's proving to be a lot more challenging. I know you're up for the challenge, but new people coming in may not. No. And then there's all these COVID babies that got their license when things were easy and are having to really face the truth now of what a real estate market looks like. So when you look at the fact that you are competing with, insert your number, I'm going to put in our 12,000 realtors, you having a license is not enough. You having years in the business is not enough. You even having a certain price point and doing it better than your neighbor or your other realtors in the community is not enough. You have to understand what makes you unique, and you have to be able to say what makes you unique so that the right ears will hear it and see no other option but then to work with you. And with the invention of technology and AI and all these other resources and tools that are coming to the forefront, we know that in our profession, we still can't take the human out of a real estate transaction because there is still a component that technology cannot replace, and that is you. And how you do that thing called real estate is your unique footprint, thumbprint, whatever you want to call it in this industry. That's what people are going to be attracted to. They're going to be attracted to what is the experience I'm going to have with this person, and how do they help me get what I want? They have to see that your value aligns with what they want, and in doing so gets them where they want to go with fewer hassles and more fun. That's what a unique value needs to portray. So there's a couple of things that go into you and your unique value and make you different than anybody else listening to my voice right now. Okay? There's just a few handful of things, but these things make all the difference. The very first thing that sets you apart from the other 12,000 people in your association is your personality. Okay, so you have a personality. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do if you really want practical application here is I want you to do a personality assessment. Ask your friends, what is my personality? Most people, by the time you're 30, 35, 40, know your personality. You know if you're open or closed. You know if you're warmer or colder. You know if you're analytical. You know if you're bubbly. You know if you're communicative. You know if you're introverted, extroverted. That's what I'm talking about here. It's how you show up with your personality. There are a myriad of personality assessments that you can do. There is the DISC profile, which is one that I really like. That gives you your personality in D-I-S-C. D is dominant, I is interactive, S is stable, and C is cautious. You are any one combination of these. And so to make this really simple today, since we're not really doing a workshop, I'm going to tell you a little story. And you can decide which of these 4 people you associate with. And in doing that, you may determine, possibly in a very high non-scientific way, what your personality style is. So here we go. We've got an elevator, okay? We've got a guy that walks into an elevator, pushes the button for the 4th floor, clasps his hands in front of him and looks down and just waits to go to the 4th floor. No thought, just ready to go, knows where he wants to go, ready to get there, done, okay? Before the doors have a chance to close, as they're closing, a hand sticks in and says, "Oh, excuse me." The doors open, this person walks in and begins to engage in conversation. "Oh, you're going to the 4th floor, I'm going to the 4th floor," and engages in conversation with this person about where we're going. Maybe even not even to intentionally annoy, but does annoy perhaps the person who was in the elevator by himself, knew where he was going, didn't need the chit chat. So we've got this person that just wants to be the life of the party, wants to talk about the weather, and in 4 floors somehow manages to share their entire life story. Okay, you know the type. Maybe you're the type. That's okay. God loves us all. However, before those doors close, another hand sticks in the elevator and holds the doors open and says, "Excuse me, do you mind if we hold the elevator for a moment? We have someone coming on crutches." So this person holds the door and sees another person coming and helps the person with crutches get into the elevator. Now, the person on crutches, the crutches is just part of the story. It's a prop, has nothing to do with the person or personality, okay? So just know that. The person with crutches now gets in the elevator slowly, gets in the elevator, sees we're going to the 4th floor, and looks at the certificate on the wall just to make sure that we've got 4 people on this elevator and we're not over the weight limit. Quickly does a little calculation, weight estimates, does the math just to make sure that it's not expired. Okay, we're good to go. We're good to go to the 4th floor. We got 4 types of people here. All right. I want you to think about which one do you connect with. We've got the dominant person that gets in. They're decisive. They know what they want. They don't need to talk. They're decisive. They're going. All right. You've got your interactive person, which stuck their hand in the door, needed to tell their life story. That's your I. That's your interactive person. That's the life of the party, the bubbly person, the one that wants to talk to everyone. You've got your C, which is your stable and steady person. These are the people who are looking out for others and want to be a support role to other people. Then you've got your cautious person. You've got your, again, the crutches aside, you've got your person that gets in the elevator and doesn't really notice people, doesn't really need to chit chat about that, but does need to make sure that we're all compliant with the rules. So those are your 4 personality types in a very high level nutshell. You are likely a combination of 1 or 2 of those, okay? And you're probably a dominant one at work. So again, do your own personality assessment, but for the purposes of today, maybe lock that in. Now, why am I telling you this little story, or why does that matter? Your personality is kind of the door that opens for other people to decide if they want to walk through it or not. The way that your personality shows up in the world is really kind of the energy that you're putting out. And other people have to decide if that's comfortable for them or not. And oftentimes when we're operating in our personality style, we're doing it unapologetically, which, listen, I'm here for that. I'm here to make sure you understand how unapologetically you need to show up in the world. However, if you want to communicate the language of all people, it's important that you understand other personality types and how you may be perceived. For example, that dominant personality that walks in and hits the button may not realize that they're off-putting to others, or that some of their decisive behavior might be harsh, even though they think it's helpful to just be leading the pack and getting us where we need to go. The interactive person may not realize that they're annoying other people that are deep in thought or deep into their own problems and may not really be that interested in your Uncle Bob's foot fungus. Just use an extreme example here. So being emotionally aware of how your personality is showing up is important. The high S, which is the stable and steady person, might not realize how annoying it is to not just make a decision for yourself and just move forward. And then the high C person, the cautious person, may not realize that they're holding up the entire world because they're so stuck in details and they can't make any action forward. You, as a real estate agent, have to learn how to spot these personality types, first in yourself, and then speaking the language of the person that you're working with. And there are some people and personality styles that just may not be right for you. And so you have to learn how to decide who's your people and who's not your people. And so being authentically you means you can use your personality as a strength, but also recognize that some people may be attracted or it detracts others. So when I do the workshop, I usually have people identify their personality style, and then we leave voicemail messages for different personality styles. So again, if you want to connect with people at a deeper level, you got to meet them where they're at. Don't change who you are, but be mindful of how your personality creates an emotional footprint on others. We all have an emotional budget that we give and take from in our side of ourselves. And personalities either withdraw or deposit into that. So wouldn't you all love to put your head on the pillow at night and say that your personality, who you were, gave energy instead of took it from others? That's a decision. And that's where really our personality dictates, in a lot of ways, how we behave in this business. So, number one, your personality. That one's probably the kind of tuck it over here, the one that kind of controls how the flavor of everything else looks. But the next three things I'm going to talk to you about are probably are definitely more personal to you. The second thing that creates your unique value is your values. I'm sorry, your strengths. Lost my train of thought there for a second. It's your strengths. So what do we need to do with our strengths there? Okay, you can do some assessments. They're the best one that I know, and I don't know any others for the strengths, is the Gallup Strength Finders Assessment. All right, if you do a Gallup Strength Finders Assessment, again, you can Google that. It's really fun and easy to do. It takes about 20 minutes. It costs $30 to do to get your top 5 strengths. There are a total of 35, but you operate in these kind of top 5. All right. So what I love about strengths is they're not your personality. Someone with a completely different personality could have the same strengths, and they show up so very differently. All right. I'm going to give you an example. My top 5 strengths are communication, activator, futuristic, responsibility, and strategic. These are my top 5. My personality is probably a DI, depending on the day on my I, whether I'm an introvert or an extrovert, honestly. But I lead pretty decisively. Sometimes I live in C land too, interestingly. So sometimes I think I'm a DC. It really, again, depends on kind of how the wind is blowing. But generally speaking, I operate as a D. So because I operate as a high D personality, my communication and my strengths show up with D flavor. Okay? So the way I speak, the way I communicate, the way that I strategize, the way that I hold responsibility, the way that I activate others, the way I use my strengths is through the flavor of my personality. So your strengths can be a variety of different things, and they're literally flavored with who you are as a personality. Okay. I love the Gallup Strength Finders Assessment. When it gives you your top 5, you could literally create a unique value proposition using those 5 and nothing more else that I talk about today. Here's how you do it. You take your top 5 strengths and you put them into a ChatGPT prompt, and you say, ChatGPT, friend of mine, best friend, based on what you know about me and these top 5 strengths, tell me how to create a unique value proposition in 1 paragraph or 2 sentences or whatever. And then you can use that as a framework to begin to create your own unique value. Okay. So again, that's some practical application. Take the assessment, get your top 5, and then do that. Now, it does not benefit you to get your top 5 and not read your results. Read every single thing it says about you, highlight the things that you think really connect with you, and then ask yourself, how are you showing up in your real estate profession with your strengths? This is what I'm going to say about us as human beings. When we talk about our budget, we each have a budget of emotional energy and mental energy within us. When you operate inside of your strengths on a regular basis, you will get energy added to your body budget. It will make you feel alive. You may be physically tired, but you will feel more energized. You will feel more excited about life when you operate inside of your strengths. Example, I'm doing this with you right now. I knew for a fact that getting on here and speaking to Ruben's audience would absolutely, is it because I called you the wrong name? Robin? Okay. Ruben's audience would absolutely give me energy. I have some hard things to do this afternoon. This is strategic. I have designed this talk because my top strength is communication, and Ruben knows this about me. I love to talk. I love a mic. I love to present my ideas and thoughts, especially if it affects change in others. This gives me energy. To someone else, this may be the worst possible thing you could think about doing with an hour of your life. But for me, it gives me energy. So I want you to look at your top 5 strengths and ask yourself, am I doing these things? Is anything that I do aligning with these strengths? If it's not, you need to find new lead generation strategies, new ways of communicating, new methods to use inside of your business that would align with your strengths. For example, if you have high analytics, if you're highly analytical, you need to lead with analytical mind. You need to lead with analytics as your kind of lead generation strategy, the way that you speak to others, what you're known for. If you're more the creative type, you need to find a way to express that creativity inside of the real estate profession. And guys, that's the beautiful thing about our profession, is that we can express it in so many different kinds of ways. Again, I could spend an hour or 2 or 3 all day talking about strengths. But I think the main thing I want you to take away is operating inside of your strengths will give you energy. Operating outside of it will take it away, maybe even make you not really like this job. So don't try to do what Susie Q is doing. Susie Q has her own personality and her own set of strengths that she can operate out of. And maybe the reason she's doing so well is because she's tapped into that, knowingly or not. And so your job, your work is to tap into yours. Go do your Strength Finders assessment, do your personality assessment. How do they match? How do they mesh? Study the assessments on the website. Gallup has a video, a 1-minute video for each of your top 5 strengths that tells you exactly how that could show up in your real estate, in your profession, whatever it may be. So read them, learn them, use them in your bio. Start to embrace the things that make you uniquely you, that are your strengths. The other thing I love about strengths, side note, is it lets other people off the hook. What do I mean by that? When you really understand that most people are operating inside of their top 5 strengths, or they're unable to do things you expect because it's not in their strengths, suddenly you give people permission to just be themselves. Again, I'm going to give you guys another example. This one's really personal. My husband has given me permission to share this, so I'm not bad-mouthing my man, but I'll give it to you. Many, many years ago when we first got married, by the way, one of his strengths, is ideation, and another is strategic, and another is futuristic. So he has ideation, which I don't have, and he has strategic and futuristic, which I do have. So we aligned very closely in our strategy and our future talking. So we even today have no problems designing pictures for the future and many strategic things. But what I got frustrated about in our marriage was that we would sit on the back porch drinking coffee on Saturday mornings, dreaming about our future, but nothing happened. If anything was going to have legs put onto it, it would be me. And I would get so frustrated that we would dream and we would talk and he wouldn't do anything. Until we did our Strength Finders and saw that he doesn't have in his top 5 strengths any executing themes, meaning none of his strengths were about doing, they were about dreaming and strategy. And so I decided to let him off the hook. It's not in his strengths. He's not me. And take this one away, guys. We expect ourselves out of other people, okay? Because we see everything through the filter of our own strengths, meshed with our programming and all the other things. But we expect other people to have the same strengths we do, and they simply do not. And asking someone to do something they can't is asking, for example, a paralyzed person to stand up and walk. If they don't have it, they don't have it. So you can't expect yourself out of other people. And as soon as you know yourself well, you can take a ruthless and radical stand for who you are. Yes, I can do that. No, I cannot, because that's not in my strengths. Yes, it is. And then ask other people of the same. Hey, would this align with what you feel are your strengths, before you ask someone what to do, or before you expect them to jump through your hoops? Explain to them who you are, how you operate, and then let them off the hook if they don't have that strength skill set. Okay, so guys, we started with personality. I'm checking our time here. All right, we're good. We started with your personality. Well, actually, we started with the fact that you're a walking miracle. Boop, done. Then we talked about your personality. Your personality is the flavor with which you deliver your strengths. Your strengths are your talents, your gifts, the things you're good at. If you can align your real estate career inside of those things, you're going to have a happier, better life. Okay? And your customers will like working with you better because you're happier and better at what you do. All right, there's 2 more things I need you to consider. Love that, Isaac, executor here. Yep. And by the way, when you dig into the strength finders, you do get lumped into 4 categories, I should say. You get the executing, the strategic, the relationship building, and the influencing. All of the 35 strengths fit into these 4 themes. Okay. So you will get to see where you're strong inside of those 4 themes. And you'll also get to see where you have gaps and where you need leverage. Again, a whole other talk for another day that I could spend time on. But because Ruben has given me an hour, I'm going to respect the time and I'm going to move on. The third thing you need to consider in your unique value is your values. What do you value? Okay. Another example, personal, with permission. Husband, Jeff. Jennifer, wife. Dishwasher. Okay. I have a value of cleanliness and order. I like order. I like to see completely clean countertops. I like nothing to be in the sink. It needs to be shiny. All right. That said, I am willing to take responsibility and keep it that way, but that's what I like. And anybody that comes along and messes that up, it's kind of like messing with my values. You know what I mean? My husband doesn't care about what it looks like. He cares that when he needs a spoon, he has a clean spoon and he doesn't have to wash one. So he has the value of convenience and just ease and easy button. So neither one is right. Neither one is wrong. They're values. So as you can imagine, the way we load a dishwasher and how we do the dishes is very different. And another conflict in our marriage that we have had to learn how to navigate. And so we have a whole method now that we do, and it's now a joke, but we have a way that we manage the kitchen so that we both get what we want and none of our values are compromised. This is a silly, silly example, but these kinds of things in life have far-reaching impacts. You may not agree with customers. Customers may not agree with you. You may butt heads. And oftentimes, if you look at the core issues between miscommunications, it's a value misalignment. It's where you're valuing one thing, they're valuing another, and each person is standing on their hill with their flag saying, my value matters more, my value matters more. And you're at conflict because you're literally attacking a core value. And so when it comes to you as an individual, the only way you can have any appreciation for other people's core values is to know what yours are. So again, this is another exercise that you would need to do on your own time. Look up core values. Again, this is a Google ChatGPT exercise if you want. Look up core values, choose your top 5. Choose the top 5 that non-negotiable, you live your life by these. And remember that what your values are is usually the filter by which you make decisions. How you load a dishwasher, if you will, just to give it into really practical perspective. How you dress, how you pay your bills, how you communicate with others will show a lot about what you value. So know your values. What matters more to you than anything else, and what will you be unwilling to compromise on, okay? Because that's how you're showing up. That's what you're going to fight for, knowingly or unknowingly. That once you're familiar with how you're operating inside of your value structure, I want you to think, how do I get to know other people's values so that I don't step on toes, so that I can truly speak the language and be aware of the landmines that I might step into. And so that's simply by asking customers, hey, if you were to say what your top 3 values are, what would they be? They're fighting for something that you don't understand, being able to say, so it sounds to me like you truly value convenience and ease in this decision. Or simply, what do you value most about the outcome of this decision? What matters most to you? And you will uncover the value structure that this person is operating by. So when you know your values and you list them out and you share them with your customers, it elicits the same in them and gives them the opportunity to go, do my values align with those? When they say they value A, B, C, D, and E, do I value those too? And when you are able to do that, you can find alignment in a lot of ways. And that's what we're looking for in this world, aren't we? Aren't we looking for more alignments? Don't we have enough dividing us? So again, your values are not going to align 100% with everyone because you're a unique human. Okay. And yes, Ruben says, if you have questions, ask. So if I see something pop up here, which is new, I don't remember that last time, I will stop and answer questions. All right, guys, we're going to get down to the last part of your unique value. So we did personality creates your unique value. Your strengths create your unique value. Your values create your unique value. And now the last piece is your experiences. Okay? Your programming, the things you've done to make your brain the way that it is. All right. What do those show up as? They show up in experiences as jobs you had, degrees that you've obtained, certifications and designations that you have, special skills that you've acquired, life experiences, and then I would say hobbies and unique interest are the myriad, and I'm just spitballing, there's probably more. Those are the myriad of things that make you uniquely you. I don't ever want you to think that because you're new in real estate, you don't have real estate relevance. You do, because of those things that you bring to the table. Maybe you're a year in the business and you haven't ever navigated every single real estate scenario there is. I've been in it 22 years and I haven't either. I'm still learning new things, and every market presents new ones to learn. So just because you don't have a lot of experience or haven't sold 1,000 homes does not mean that you have no real estate experience. You bring transferable skills to the table that absolutely show up in a real estate transaction. The reality is, guys, houses sell themselves. You're there to facilitate a transaction, and you're going to do it with your unique skills. You're going to use it. You're going to do it with organizational skills. You're going to do it with communication skills. You're going to do it with knowledge, unique knowledge that you might have about certain topics that other people don't. And, again, insert all the other things that you have that make you uniquely who you are to solve problems and to help customers move the needle in their lives. And different people are going to do it different ways depending on the experiences they bring to the table. So if you had a job as a server for 10 years before you got into the real estate industry, there is a ton of relevance in that. A ton. You have the ability to multitask. You have the ability to meet needs in a high demand environment. You have the ability to upsell and downsell. You have the ability to navigate challenges in real life time, face to face. You've been paid in direct proportion to what you've brought to the table, no pun intended. Guys, all of these skills give you unique abilities in a real estate transaction. So no matter how old or no matter how young or how many jobs you've had or how many degrees you've had, anything you've done in your past life to bring you to this point is a transferable opportunity. It's a way to create relevance in the real estate market. I recently had a young girl in a class told me she didn't have any experience because she had just graduated from high school. She was about 20, so she was a couple years out and hadn't really done much and didn't really feel like she had any transferable skills. So I asked her what her job had been, and she said that she was a vet tech and that she loved animals and that she was a vet tech. We were able to connect the fact that if any of you have pets, I think you can relate. Someone that has a dog or a cat that would let them take them to the back room would have to really trust that person. I know me. My little dog is sleeping right here behind me. His name is Huey. He's precious. If you know me, you know Huey. Huey is my baby. And every time I go to the vet, I hope that Nana is the vet tech that comes to get him, because that's what we call her, Nana. She literally calls herself the grandma of all these pets. She takes Huey back. And I trust that when Huey goes back with her, he's going to get the same kind of care that I would give him. Call me crazy. I don't care. I love my dog. And so do most people that have dogs. So if I could trust someone to do that, could I trust them with a real estate transaction? I mean, my dogs are up there with my money. I love them. I spend a lot of money on them. They're high up there in my value structure. You know what I mean? So I was able to help her create a bio that, and I don't have it verbatim, I wish I had, but it basically said, if people can trust me with their pets and the beauty of their pets, or the value of their pets, they can trust me with the value of their home. And so she created this trustworthiness inside of her real estate relevance in her past job, which was being a vet tech. It's a silly example, but real. And each of you has this. Each of you has the ability to dig into your past and say, Well, I did this and this and this. And out of that, I learned this, this, and this. And this is how I can use it in the real estate industry. And then it's up to you to take that real estate piece, whatever that was, and create a bio that properly reflects how that skill set shows up for today's consumer. Because I was a teacher, this is how I can be a better realtor. Because I was a construction worker, this is what I know now about real estate. Because I was a this is this. Because I was this is this. You are the bridge. You have to make the connection to the customer. If you don't, you were just a teacher. You were just a construction worker. You were just a server. You were just a vet tech. But you get to say, here's how I use what I learned in that job for you, Mrs. Buyer, for you, Mr. Seller. That's your responsibility, is to articulate it. Again, pretty easy done now with the help of ChatGPT. So if you're not a writer, or you're not a creative, or you're not a strategist in your brain, it's not one of your strengths, that's okay. There's a tool. There's a resource that you can use that literally you could just talk this out with, put the prompts in and see what comes out that really settles on your soul and says, yeah, that's me. Now, I am not a person that wants you to take ChatGPT and sell. I think you need to take what it gives you and put your own mark on it, put your own personality into it. And you could even say, hey, put this into the personality style of a D personality in the disc profile. Whatever. You decide how you want it to sound, but it needs to sound like you. And then have other people read it and vet it for you. Does it sound like you to them? So that is how we take our past experiences and turn them into real estate relevance. If you have some designations, customers don't care about the 3 little letters behind your name. Tell them what's in it for them. You have your GRI. What does that mean to the customer? You have your this, you have your that. They have no clue. You need to connect those dots. And if you want to create a unique thumbprint on this customer, you have to set yourself apart by saying, this is who I am. This is what who I am brings to the table for you. And this is what you can expect to receive in this experience from me. And guys, that's how you create your unique value. Now, if you can take all of those things and put them together, oh, Ruben, I'm almost done. If you can take all of those things and put them together, you can create a pretty compelling, unique value proposition that can become a multitude of other resources for you, for talking points, in your presentations, creating a resume, whatever else you need to do at that point forward. So, Ruben, back to you.
Back to you in the newsroom.
Back to you, Ruben.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Robin.
Yeah, Robin. Oh, no. What was I going to ask? Oh, yeah. So how often should you do that, right? Because like there's different like stages you'll hit within real estate and life. How often would you say that you would have to do that strengths finder core values assessment on yourself to kind of stay in front of that and be true to yourself as well?
You know, by the time we're 30, we are pretty much who we are.
Sure.
The things that change us are life traumas and experiences that will change us. The fast changes are usually traumas. Okay. The slow changes are wisdom and age as we grow. So if you've gone through any big life event like a divorce or loss of a loved one, I would say once you're ready and you're ready to come back into your new world as you see it, I think it would be beneficial to do it again. Or if nothing else, just do it once a year. I don't necessarily think you need to pay for the assessment, but if you need to revisit it, you need to read it again. Does it still make sense? Does it really still align with who I am? But fundamentally, once you are who you are, it takes some big life events to just really rock that and change that.
Yeah, I agree. Do you find that what if there different because I do see the value in it and I wonder like how often you would do it, and so to ensure you're not stuck in your ways, do you see like different even either production levels or team building? Now they got their first agent and they've had the agent for 6 months or first admin, to where they'd have to kind of reassess themselves, check up from the neck up. Do you see different production levels or broker builder levels or team levels that it's like, all right, can we just reset, try to figure out what's going on? Do you find moments like that?
Yeah, for sure. I have multiple resumes for different things I do. I have different value structures for different things. So When I was really recruiting heavily to the brokerage, I had kind of a graphic resume that was who I am as a recruiter and a trainer and a coach and a broker. Then I have my coaching one. That's a value proposition that's to articulate my coaching value. So I think you can kind of create different worlds. I've recently been really learning a lot about LinkedIn, and they talk on LinkedIn about your headline and how it's a one-line value proposition. And they talk about changing it once a month. That as you grow and develop and gain new wisdom, and as the market changes and as your customer needs change, or as you have new success stories in your business, you do want to change it and update it, because your business is constantly evolving. And what serves to you today, a year from now, if you're still at it, going at it, you are a whole different person when it comes to your value. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, it does. It does. It really does. And now I'm thinking, like, if I'm sitting at a table with my team members, whatever that looks like, that could be executive team, it could be a team that's running a brokerage, it could be like a real estate sales team. Do you want, because you mentioned, there was 4 categories here, there's 5 categories here. Do you want one of each category sitting with you around that table?
In the strength finders?
Yeah, is strength finders, or wasn't there one for core values too? No,
No,
you just said kind of Google it and see what
yeah,
comes up.
the core values. I mean, value alignment is huge. It
Yeah,
can make
yeah,
or break marriages and friendships and teams and everything else. I mean,
right.
it's everything. Core values is huge. If you know your core values and you've got someone who's in direct just misalignment, it's not
Yeah,
going very far.
that's not gonna work. No,
It's not gonna
someone's
work.
flipping that table over.
Exactly. I mean, like, honesty. Let's just take honesty for example. If you are a ruthlessly honest person, and someone else's core value is not as honest, that isn't that necessarily they're out trying to be deceitful. They just don't value honesty as much as you do. That is going to be a misalignment that's going to hurt. Okay. So, but as far as the strength finders, there are 4 categories in the strength finders: strategic, relationship building, influencing, strategic thinking, and executing. Yes. To have a well-rounded team, you would ideally have people that have those strengths in those categories, or maybe one person that has a lot in one and in all the others. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And what would be some of the titles? I know it could vary, but what would be a title that you would attach to each one of those inside? Because we're talking about real estate right now, inside the real estate game. What have you seen? This title has this strength. This title has this strength. Just so for anybody who's listening, like, man, I've been really trying to build a team. Oh, these are the people that I would need in that position that run vertically with that strength.
Yeah. Again, if you look at the 4, again, to say them, it's executing, getting things done. It's influencing, helping other people get things done. It's strategic thinking, creating plans to get things done. And relationship building is doing it alongside others. Not every person has all 4 perfectly. Forget that. The relationship builders are the ones that are loving on your team and creating culture. And I don't necessarily have a title for that, but could be your administrative person, your office administrator or somebody like that that's loving on your people, making sure you don't forget birthdays, those kinds of things. Your executing person is the one that's going to get things done. That's your integrator. That's the one that's out there just getting things marked off the list. Okay. Your strategic thinker, your dreamers, they're the ones that are the visionaries. They're thinking about how these things are going to get done. And then your influencing are the ones who are out meeting with the customers and are able to use their skills to be able to move people towards you. So maybe that's your marketing person in the influencing department. And so you really want to kind of look at what are the outcomes that you want and where do these people strategically fit. And if you really study the strength finders assessments and results, you'll get a lot of answers for that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And have you found something that may have misaligned using the strength finders, or do you find that it's 99.99% correct?
99.9% correct. I've
Okay.
done this with hundreds of people in my workshops. And the one thing that I notice is most people do nothing with it once they do it. They just kind of read it like, oh, that's interesting. I like learning about me, but they don't do anything with it. So, but yeah, no, it's usually pretty spot on.
Which one of the 4 are the ones that actually do something with it?
Executor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Or the
So doesn't that tell them about their personality?
Yeah, that's very telling about their personality. Who's going to run
Yeah.
out here and go do this? But it's about give people, like I said, let them off the hook. If they're not an executor, don't put a 24-hour deadline on them. Let them tell you what it looks like to get it done. I mean, it's about showing up and allowing people to be who they are and realizing we're not going to change people. We're not. We just need to meet them where they are and help them be the version of success that they see for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge one to learn. I was telling someone, we were having a conversation, and I said, sometimes you've allowed people in your circle that never asked to be there.
It's true.
And it's like you think that you're trying, like you said earlier, you're trying to kind of display yourself on them and the level of either loyalty or, like you were saying, honesty, and you brought them into a circle they never asked to be in. And so through that, the expectation was here, but you've only allowed yourself down.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I can only say that because speaking from, my own life too, and I've done that in the past too. And there's people out there that's never really asked to be there. So that there's an assessment out there to kind of help you navigate and understand that. I think that's a huge plus.
Well, there's also people that have asked to be removed, and you're not
Yeah,
letting them go.
yeah. You're like, come back.
You
Like
sometimes
here, I'm like, yo, come to be more training. Like keep bringing you back in.
right, but if people don't, they're telling you without telling you, this is not for me, this isn't it. And yet we hold on and we hold on and we take it all so personally. And it's about letting go, saying they have their journey, their strengths, their personality, all their things. And I just need to be somebody on the path that is supportive. And if they need me and what I have to offer, here I am.
Yeah, that could be super difficult. So how do you find peace in doing that? Because assessment will be there, but how do you have to have true peace with yourself and an understanding that the universe is working how it works right now. It's all good. I'm on my journey. Like, how do you get to that understanding to where you're not as, I guess, emotionally charged if somebody decides to go on their own path, as they should, by the way, but you just don't see it that way? Like, how do you get at that level of peace?
Well, personally, on a personal level for me, it's connected to my faith. It's realizing that I'm not in charge here. I have a purpose and a path, and if our paths cross, great. And if they don't, I'm not saying I have this all figured out, Ruben, but my pastor's wife said something to me one time. She said, when it comes to people, you have to have a soft heart and thick skin. And you do have to have thick skin, but you don't want it to be so thick that you're calloused in your heart towards people. But you have to have a
Mhm.
soft heart, but you also have to protect yourself and realize that not everybody is your people. And that's one thing that I've been preaching to my agents is not everybody is your people. Don't try to make people your people. If they're
Yeah.
telling you I'm not your people, let them not be your people. And that's okay. It means nothing about you. It means nothing about them. It is.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is. And that's so simple and cliche, but I don't know any other simpler way of finding peace in a world where the majority of people will not work with you.
Yeah.
That's the reality. The majority of people will not be by your side the rest
Mhm.
of your life. They won't. So bring people in, love them well, be authentically you. And when and if the time goes that you must separate, do it in a way that keeps the bridge between you, but let it be.
This is why I keep you around. This is why I keep inviting you. This is why I keep hitting you up. You need that reminder. There's a reason why people go to church every Sunday. They may already have the belief, but they need that reminder, right?
Oh, I need it
So
all the time, and I need God's grace to implement it because if it weren't for what I feel is my greater purpose on this earth, I would just shut it down and like forget it. I have to believe that that's not what I'm here for. And so,
yeah,
who am I? Who am I?
yeah.
You know? Did we lock up Ruben? Ruben? Oh, there we are. You're back.
Oh, yeah. My internet's terrible. I pay for the cheapest internet, and I pay for it.
Okay.
Like
Well,
literally pay for it because
it
of
could be
this.
mine too. Who knows?
Could be, probably not. Hey, thank you so much.
You're
Seriously, I
welcome.
really, really appreciate it. I'm gonna go back and listen to this. I was getting text messages through this, so I do appreciate it, and I know they appreciate it too. As always, if there's anything that any of us could do for you, North Carolina and beyond, we're here for you. I'll be in Florida again, same trip that stopped by your house last time in October, and I'll hit you up.
You better. I'll be mad if you don't.
I will. You know I will.
I know you
I
will.
I'll go ahead and end it.